Sinead O Connor, Narcissist or Empath, Part 2. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. We're continuing our examination of Sinead O Connor, who died last week. She was once interviewed by Dr. Phil, and in the course of that interview went into considerable detail about the way that she was treated by her mother. O'Connor explained that her mother was not well. She stated, "I would say she was possessed, but I'm not sure I believe in such things. She was just a sadist and a paedophile, or she was possessed by the devil. My parents separated when I was aged 8. The day my father left, he'd built a hut, a shed for me and my siblings to play in. And my mother said, 'If you love him that much, you can live in the shed.' So we lived in the garden for months. This demonstrates a parental abrogation of duties, suggests triangulation in relation to the way that she mentioned the father. O'Connor explained that her mother ran a torture chamber, that she would delight in it. She explained, "My earliest memory was her telling me I shouldn't be born. She didn't want me, didn't want girls. She wanted me to be a boy, dressed me like a boy, chopped my hair off. She beat me daily. She makes me take my clothes off. She makes me lie on the floor. I have to put my arms out and let her attack my abdomen. She wants to burst my womb. She wants to stop me being female." This treatment of O'Connor in terms of wanting to remove her identity as a girl is not only demonstrative of objectification, but shows an absence of emotional empathy. It shows crude manipulative behaviours in terms of doling out beatings and doling out beatings to a child. It suggests a sadistic streak also with regard to her mother, evidencing a complete absence of emotional empathy, and that these beatings were a regular occurrence. This shows a sustained pattern of behaviour towards O'Connor. She went on to explain that her mother did this aged from 0 to 13. She said there'd be sweeping brushes, stamping, and the phone would ring in the middle of one of the beatings and she'd be like, "Hi, how are you?" Showing compartmentalization, showing an ability to switch from the evil, unpleasant behaviour of beating a child to then answering the phone as if nothing had happened. She then, in the interview, repeats the recollection about the dress by explaining that we were meant to be going somewhere. I was around age 5, and she made me put on a dress that belonged to my sister. A button was missing, so she beat the shit out of me because of that. She then takes the dress, takes the light bulb out of my room, and locked me in my room, and everybody leaves for the weekend. She continued by explaining that when it came to the start of the summer holidays, she and her siblings would get every Bible, every hockey stick, every tennis racket, and hide them at the start of the summer holiday. She explained that all the other children would be delighted that it was the start of the summer holidays, but not in their household. She and her siblings would be crying because they'd be stuck with her for the entire summer. O'Connor explained that part of her duties was to engage in cleaning the lampshade, and if she left the lampshade crooked, her mother would beat her up. She explained this went on a daily basis. The only thing that O'Connor was sure of was the fact that she would have the shit kicked out of her. She explained that she would hear the steps of her mother waking up in the morning, and literally, her brother and her would pee their pants in fear. She explained that her mother made her say over and over, "I'm nothing. I'm nothing." And after a while, she explained, you begin to believe it. In the course of the interview with Dr. Phil, she then explained that she ran away when she was 13 years old. She further explained that her mother had raped her, but that she was not the only person who raped her, and that she was raped by several other people as a child through the ages of 3 to 12, raped by strangers who lived in Ireland. She then went on to explain that her songs were a diary of the child abuse, and the reason that she did this was because if she didn't become well known, nobody would have known that she and her siblings had existed. Harrowing detail of daily beatings that were meted out towards her and her siblings. This behaviour is demonstrative of an individual behaving towards her with a complete absence of emotional empathy, utilising rudimentary manipulations, showing a sense of entitlement, an abrogation of parental responsibilities and duties, showing a complete lack of accountability, that there was compartmentalisation, that she delighted in treating her children this way, which showed sadism also. In the course of the interview, O'Connor explained that she couldn't speak on behalf of her siblings, because that wouldn't be fair to them. Instead, she would only talk about what had happened to her. Thus, that appears that she is recognising a boundary with regard to what she was stating, and that she allowed them to account for what occurred to them separately, that she wasn't being grandiose in terms of believing that she spoke on their behalf also. Such behaviours, of course, support the proposition that it's highly likely that her mother was a narcissist, that her mother routinely engaged in abusing both physically and sexually her daughter and the other children, that she did so showing an absence for emotional empathy, that she fed off the reactions of the children to the way that they were treated, that she had no regard for their safety or well-being, that she saw that there was nothing wrong in punishing the children in this manner. You'll hear more in part 3 about the way that she was treated, and also her own recollections about the way that she saw her mother, which provide you with an interesting view of O'Connor herself. But what is being formed here is very clearly that her mother was at the least a narcissist herself, which suggests that the genetic predisposition towards narcissism could well have been passed down to O'Connor. And furthermore, it's very clear that as a consequence of the treatment that she was subjected to, not only by her mother, but by the fact that her father was often absent, that there were no interveners, that she was raped by other individuals, that there was a very clear lack of control environment that existed also. If you have not watched my video, What Makes a Narcissist, I recommend that you do so. But a brief summary is that with regard to the creation of a narcissist, you need a genetic predisposition, and it must be allied with a lack of control environment. If the genetic predisposition is skipped, no narcissist. If the lack of control environment does not impact upon the child when there is a genetic predisposition, no narcissist. In this instance, there is very clearly the prospect of the genetic predisposition being passed on from her mother, and it's very clear that Sinead O'Connor was repeatedly and regularly subjected to a lack of control environment. We will learn more about these behaviours in part 3. Join me there.